Hello, and welcome to Bronze Age Monsters, the show where we wade into the weirdest and wildest waters of the comic books of the 1970s. This season on BAM, we're talking about a Bronze Age buffet of short lived books with supernatural heroes. Today, we're here to say goodbye to our friend Inkantu, mighty chieftain of the forgotten Swirly tribe, the Moses of his people, leader of the revolt against Pharaoh Aramset, the man damned to eternal life and imprisonment. I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners. Hope you're here for us a live experience, the live show. That's what we do here every few episodes, and we're loving it. Hey, Jackson.
Glenn?
You aboard? Hey, guys. All right. So, unfortunately, we're at the end of the road for this character. We've been having quite a bit of a good time with him. I think we're riding high through the mid-season with him and having a great time, but as all things do, they have to come to an end. And we knew coming into this thing, this is like adopting an ailing cat. You know, it's not forever.
Nope.
So how are you feeling about this, Jacob? Are you ready?
I'm super ready. Yeah, I thought that we had talked about at the top of the show, we were going to read some listener mail. We got a really nice email from Matt Harvey. Really long, really nice email. It says he jumped in at season 2 because he loves Manwolf and the Star God Saga and D.A. Craft in general. He said he had so much fun listening to us that he's continuing on through season 3 and will go back through season 1. So I thought that was really cool. He also reads, Matt and Jacob, you guys have a great dynamic. It's clear you've been friends a long time, and there's almost an old married couple thing going on in the best way. Not almost, there just is.
Yes, I think our wives would agree.
Yeah, our wives would definitely agree. He says, I love the passion and attention to detail you guys bring to every issue, really savoring every page. Even when you're pointing out how often the stuff is objectively shitty, which it occasionally is, or just goofy as hell, which it often is. It's clear you love the hell out of it and each other, and that's what makes the episodes enjoyable, even when you're stuck with a crappy issue of Marvel Team Up. It's true. Very solid. Yeah. And, it's really, really great at the end. Well, Matt, I love that he agrees with you, loves the original Spider-Woman run, and also says it was so great to hear someone else hating on the Fleischer bounty hunter era of the title. But and so for Matt, he says, thanks for making me feel like I wasn't screaming into the void with that feeling. So he also at the end mentions, if you guys never came up with a cocktail called a shooter edict, that's a blown opportunity. He's right. It would have been it would have to be a tall shot. I don't know. I'm not a mixologist, but that's a great name for a drink. Yeah, it should be served in like a tall glass. You know, because shooter's like 6'7" or something.
Yes,
perfect.
Yeah. And our friend Ben M, our resident mixologist, I feel like we need like that Ricola horn, like
calling Ben.
Shooter edict.
Yeah. So Ben, get on that. I know you're gonna love it. So Matt Harvey, thanks so much. That was such a nice email. Really, really happy to get that.
Yes, and I want to say hey to Patrick. He's a new pack member. He's here tonight too. Thank you very much for supporting us, Patrick, and being here for the live thing.
That's right.
Cool. Well, Matt, thanks a lot for that letter. That was like a total bright spot on my week. I don't know. Been a little bit of a rough patch here. I'm gonna be honest. You know, sometimes I just we don't always talk about all shit like this, but we're always proponents of mental health and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put out there that I've been having a rough couple of weeks here and rough time at work. And so this thing, as it always is, has been a very bright spot in my life. And the people that talk to us on Discord, talk to us through social media, send us letters like that. Matt, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it means a lot. So you cheered me up. Thank you.
It does mean a lot. I mean, any time we're having either of us have a really bad week or going through a bad patch, recording the episodes, talking to each other. I don't know. I think our brains are now wired since we started this in the pandemic when we were, everyone was dying of fear. And our one time a week where we were just like, fuck it, we're just going to talk about comics and have a drinking contest. And I think our brains now, like when we do this, they're like, oh no, throw all of the dopamine at them. So, yeah.
And it's becoming Pavlovian response too. I'm also just in a better mood on Wednesdays or Tuesdays, whichever day we were doing our thing, because I know it's coming, so I start kind of salivating. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate the hugs. Much appreciated. Cool. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's dive in.
All right. Let me bring this to the stage. I name this Vaya con Dios Mimo Mia.
Mimo Mia. In honor of the movie we watched.
Yes. In honor of the movie that we watched. All right. Cool. So, first of all, I did want to mention, sorry to do my little Stanley shtick here at the beginning, but our Threadless shop, Threadless is having their big spring sale right now. It's like 70% off or something like that. Like $23 t-shirts, like $10 or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I put some new designs in. As you can see, there's this cool skull guy that's from the original Haunt of Horror. He's a little icon in the Haunt of Horror magazine. There's a new Man-Thing design, which is a black and white pinup that was by Frank Brunner. I mean, it's fucking gorgeous.
It is.
And I was so inspired by the sale that I wanted to get something out that's been kind of kicking around Photoshop, and I haven't had a chance to kick it out yet. And so this is one that I've been really excited about for a while. It is a Star God shirt from the Marvel premiere that's drawn by George Perez, I believe.
Yes.
It's when he was on Other Realm or whatever, and he all of his friends were being killed in the attack, and he lost his shit and went full fucking bananas. And so I reworked a title, and I did actually do quite a bit of work on this one. This one's actually original because I had to do a lot of Photoshop on it to make it work, because it had word balloons and narration boxes and stuff. So yeah, I'm totally stoked about this. And Jacob's going to get one. He can show you what one looks like as soon as he gets one in the mail. We've already sold some. So
I believe it. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're fucking cool. So yeah, Star Gods, you're going to need that. That's your uniform. Okay, so we're here to talk about this issue of Supernatural Thrillers number 15. This is from my birth month and year, October 1975. This is another Gil Kane inventory cover. Obviously, we've been enjoying the hell out of these the last few issues, but it's definitely something that was just on a shelf. But it was beautifully composed and drawn by Gil Kane and inked by Mr. Tom Palmer. I never have complaints about this pair as artists. So I love how scary Encanto's face is on here, like the way they kind of like put all of his features down in the lower part of his face, so he's angled down and he's just scowling, and he actually looks scary for the first time in quite a while. And you know it's a Kane because you can see up someone's nose in the foreground, which is a joke that I did not pick up on that until our friends at Marvel by the Month pointed that out at some point, and now I cannot not see it every time I see a Kane. Like, yep, there's somebody's nostrils.
Yeah. No, that was a joke that our friends made that really stuck in my brain as well. So that's here for life. Thanks, fellas.
Before you give me your thoughts on this, Jacob, I would like to point out that usually, catch me on this, this does not happen.
No, it doesn't. We're drinking to that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you having, Matt?
I'm having Westward Whiskey. This is here in Portland. This is a cognac cask finished Westward Whiskey, and it's freaking delicious. I've been saving it since November.
Yeah, all of Westward stuff is so good. I am drinking Scotch. I'm drinking Laphroaig.
I'm always scared to order that because I don't know how to say it.
I think it's Laphroaig.
I think you're right. I don't know how to say it.
But you know, it's if you don't like Scotch, this is not the one to get, because I feel like people that don't like Scotch are kind of turned off by the peat flavor, and this is the peatiest of Scotches. It's almost too much for me, and I love Scotch.
So when there's Scotch and it tastes to me like grass, is that peat or is that dirt?
That's probably a little more. I mean, it's probably a little bit of peat. That's maybe like a usual amount of peat. This is a lot, and yeah, it's like a bog. But my wife says it tastes like burning Band-Aids. So, I get it. It's accurate. And again, every time I drink that, I'm like, no, she's not wrong.
Yeah. Glenn pointed out that it seems like Kane thinks that Encanto is a little more lithe and flexible than he is generally in the interiors.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And Jackson's pointing out Kane can't help himself. Right.
All right, should we jump in?
I am ready.
Okay. So, you know what? Let's read the masthead copy one last time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. 3,000 years ago, he was Inkantu, warrior king who freed his people from the yoke of the pharaoh Aramset, for which crime he was buried alive. Today, Inkantu walks again, a bandage wrapped, centuries hardened caricature of a man in search of his lost humanity. Stanley presents The Living Mummy. So yeah, our title of our story is Armageddon at Aleph. And our cast of creators are John Warner, writer. So yeah, he's been promoted to writer. Tom Sutton is our artist. So yeah, Val Mayrick has left the building. Tom Sutton has taken over, penciling and inking this issue. John Costanza's letterer, Phil Rach. We know that's Phil Rachelson, colorist, and Len Wein, editor. So Tom Sutton. We've talked a ton about Tom Sutton. So I'll just say that on the newsstands this month, he's doing this issue plus 3 covers and 1 story for Charlton's horror comics. Creepy Things, Scary Tales, and Monster Tales.
His Creepy Thing stuff, his covers are so gorgeous.
They're so good. They're painted covers. He does the first 4 issues of all 3 of them, and they don't last much longer than that. I think they're just well, at least one of them doesn't. I think Ghost. Well, I don't know. I don't think any of them last as long as Ghostly Tales.
Creepy Things and one other one were 12 issues, maybe. They're pretty short runs.
Yeah, but my God, yeah. Please take a look at his covers that he does for those horror magazines, because they're fucking amazing. So, yeah. Well, this opening page starts off right where we left off, with the elementals hovering above our heroes. And they say, "Cringe, helpless fools, you have delayed the inevitable far too long. The moment is upon us, and this moment of destiny belongs to the elementals." And on our narration, it says, "Cairo, enveloped in an impenetrable force field created by the elementals for the duration of their siege. Point of conflict, the scarab which is clutched by its namesake, Dr. Scarab, and upon which rests the future of Earth. Book 4 of The War That Shook the World." So yeah, what did you think of this opening page?
A lot of this felt pretty rough to old Matt Howell.
Yeah, that is going to be a theme. There's definitely a lot of rough stuff going on in this issue. You can still see a lot of Tom Sutton. We were first introduced to Tom Sutton on the Werewolf by Night issue that he did. Was that 7?
9.
9, yeah. So, and you know how we felt about that. And yeah, Tom Sutton's work in that made us lifelong fans. But yep, it feels a little rushed. This page is yeah, pretty much the same. It's the faces, right? His faces in this are just weirdly bad.
Mostly. And there's points throughout this where it's almost like, is he trying to imitate Val's faces and not succeeding? And I think it was Jackson that said, first of all, no one told Sutton that this hasn't been a horror book since issue number 9.
No.
Some of these feels like he's kind of going for horror here, but this is a full-on desert adventure at this point with magic.
Yeah.
There's a lot for me that doesn't work through this, and so I think we're just gonna have to chunk it out a little bit. Yeah, this first page, I was thoroughly disappointed. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I think if this is what's the card game that Bowie and Eno would do, where it's challenge yourself by stand on your head and play the solo. And
oblique strategies.
Oblique strategies. So this felt like where it's use your non-dominant hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So infinitely better than anything I could ever do, no matter given how much time or lessons. But for a Sutton thing, I was just kind of ugh, it just felt a little like Macy's Day Parade with the air going a little bit out of it.
Yeah, well, especially getting used to Val and having Val on most of the book. And God, yeah, this is, bit of a letdown, but we're gonna slog through it.
So if did you get a chance to look up this word? I had to look this word up. I didn't know this word. Armageddon, it's pronounced Aleph.
Aleph?
Yeah, I was saying Aleph, but it's Aleph. And it's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it represents the ultimate source from which all things emerge. It symbolizes the primordial state of existence where everything is interconnected and unified. In Kabbalah, the Aleph represents the infinite Ein Sof, the boundless and unknowable aspect of God.
So I wasn't familiar with the definition, but I really had only heard this word reading Alan Moore's Promethea run,
Oh, that sounds right.
which is basically it's just like, kids, sit down. I'm going to tell you about the Kabbalah.
I still haven't read that whole thing before.
It's great. It really is. The art's like J.H. Williams III, I think, does the art, and fuck, it's so cool.
Well, I will tell you, I was excited when I looked that word up because I was like, okay, so at least we're going to have some Gerberian craziness in here, and we're not cheated on that.
We do,
front.
definitely.
So, yeah, a promising note to move on.
For sure.
So we get this kind of cool layout here with them attacking. So if you forgot last time, we just kind of alighted over this on the cup splash, but yeah, they were all split up doing their stuff in Cairo. Dr. Scarab was trying to figure out how to make the Ruby Scarab work. Ruby Scarab, and Ron and the Asp and Miles, I think, were all separated and trying to join them, and they got jumped by a street gang. So yeah, we're kind of in the thick of things. So in case you've forgotten, that's where we were. But yeah, so they attack here, and they have some Hydron-y words, and they do their thing. So Hydron does some water stuff, and they, at this point, were you getting a little tired of these guys?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'd always been tired. It's funny, they strung you along, so the elementals, I'd be like, fuck, these guys are so stupid, and then they do some really vicious stuff, and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, maybe. And then they become cartoony again, and now they're just He-Man villains, basically. Yeah. And I don't know.
Stupid. Yeah, so Magnus does a thing again where he opens up the earth. Last time he did it, he crushed a old peasant, I think, in it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was somebody else, but like, I mean, they were just slaughtering people. But I really like the bottom part of this page here. Scarab's hand coming out across the panel lines, and I love the way the mummy is depicted, and how he's just like stuck inside of this earthen, whatever this thing is Magnus made. And he's just kind of like thinking that they're toying with us. And, I like the fact that he's bringing up this parallel between like, how they're being enslaved again. And again, the whole irony of him being at all of the worst moments in human history, essentially, is not lost on me.
No, yeah, you're right. The bottom half of the page is, I really like how he drew Nkantu in that bottom, right panel too. He gets it right. Like, he's definitely following Merrick's lead in design, and no, he gets it right there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like the layout in this page, the panel work, and what he did as a layout. But except for barring those two things I mentioned on the very bottom of the third, I wasn't feeling a lot of this.
No. I mean, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but it's Nkantu's final bow, so we're gonna go through it. We'll respect it. We might not love it so much, but
that's fair.
Yeah, let's head down to the next page, and it says, a lot of this is Hellfire, and Hellfire is just like, Union Magnum, what need of union have we against such as these? For ultimately is the power of Hellfire that will destroy them. So yeah, they were supposed to be working in tandem, but no, they are having Hellfire is basically just doing everything. And I did like, there's points in this. I think what I liked the most was a lot of John Warner's narration. Those are the ones that I would like to point out because I thought they were kind of the high points of the issue. In this bottom panel, I felt that the narration was really cool. I'm going to read it. The fire burns, painfully searing all too mortal flesh, yet the pain is not wholly of the fire, but of the hopelessness it represents. And in that moment of mutual despair and agony is formed a final bond, a bond stronger than any chains ever cast. Like, it's pretty badass way to describe the feeling. I mean, that all of them are having at once, that it's bringing them together. I don't know. Warner kills it in a lot of this narration.
Totally agree. And in the previous, the top of this page, we're talking about where they're saying, how the elementals are not united; they're separate but together. And these people in this panel have a bond that's created is such a big part of this whole issue here. And so. Yeah. It's a cool narrative concept that he did. I actually enjoy quite a bit of the writing in this one. It was mostly the art that fell down for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think it was just because the art wasn't so great that I was focusing on the writing. we know that John Warner can kill it with writing. I mean, he can do such a great job that we saw in Son of Satan. And so, yeah, at least having his voice through this, which is a very distinctive voice, that helped the medicine go down.
Glenn says more Zephyr would have helped.
Well, I'm not gonna disagree with you, Glenn. That's for sure. Yeah, on the bottom, yeah, it's the same thing. Hellfire's just surrender the scarab and we may let you live. Refuse and you will be instantly incinerated. The scarab and the earth will be ours regardless. So yeah, he's just a cackling supervillain. And no, God, still, I just have to comment on Hellfire's ridiculous headgear. His horn and his weird, like, I don't know. His hair just goes to all different kinds of stupid. Every single hairstyle he's had, and there's been a lot of them. It has not been consistent. They're all idiotic.
Consistently bad.
It is consistently bad. You are right.
I do enjoy this last panel.
Oh yeah, the last panel's cool.
Even if like some of Scarab's anatomy is a little wonky, and the face is consistently outside of Encanto just don't work for me in most of this. But yeah. I love the layout and I love the concept here and them all kind of physically going back to back to back, and because they are bonding through this pain and through this trial, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, no, the themes of bonding together I thought was definitely the strongest in this beginning of the issue.
Okay. So on this next page here, this is one of my favorite parts of this whole thing. Honestly,
yeah.
Anytime there's weird magic shit, I'm super excited. I love the way he draws Scarab's face here. So, if you recall, last issue, he unlocked the power, and so now we get to see him finally use this goddamn thing. This MacGuffin they've been dragging around and chasing for the last 5 issues.
Oh God, so long.
6. So he says, "No, I know how to release the Scarab's powers. I must be able to utilize them. If I can only empty my mind, let the Scarab dominate me." And then you see this awesome pyramid with a closed eye. I mean, all this stuff is just tickling all my tender parts. And then somehow his inner scarabiness is making the eye open up, and mysterious forces stir inside the carved gem, and they blast him. And I love the way that he is drawn in this fucking panel. He looks to me like Dan Clowes meets Mike Allred. Like, it's just a super clean,
perfect
Silver
description.
Age kind of design. I think it's fucking gorgeous. So yeah, forces now awakened by a single man's ancestry and the screaming need of the entire planet. So his connection to Nephris is somehow connected to Dan and Garrett, which he's related to them also, isn't he? I forgot about that.
Yes.
He's that one guy that's had everybody cool in his past lives. It is a need that does not go unanswered. Huge energy beam goes and blasts these morons as they go falling, which made me grin. Just as a knee-jerk reaction, I was completely thrilled to see these guys toppled here. They've discovered the secret of the Scarab.
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy too to see the elementals take a fall down there. But yeah, I just felt like the first 2 rows of this page are pretty great. And it made me think, like, I don't know if Sutton is trying to do house style, because remember, like, even in Werewolf by Night 9 and 10, we remarked that his style was so like scratchy and magazine like, and it felt like one of the Curtis mags. And that's what I think Sutton does best. And so I feel like kind of when he's leaning more into that are the panels that we're going to like. But him just, I don't know, like this was, I mean, I think if you told me to guess who drew this issue, I would have never guessed Tom Sutton.
I wouldn't. And like you're saying, when the elementals are drawn particularly, it's like he's leaning into a house style, and it felt like super stories, Spidey super stories, or something, like just some kind of throwaway disposable villain or a Twinkie ad. Like it just feels really generic and lame.
It does look like a Twinkie ad. And I think the few times that we've seen the elementals where they didn't look 100% ridiculous was when Val would draw them doing like really horrible, violent things. And I think Val kind of went the opposite way when and that's when they looked least like a Twinkie ad. But yeah, this whole issue, it's hard to take them seriously because they're so stupid looking.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, on this next page, Encantu notices that the massive flame Hellfire's created is about to fall, and he grabs his three companions, pulls them out of the flames. I do like Warner's narration here, talking about Encantu. He says his movements are stiff, jerky. The ages and the liquid that flows through his veins in place of blood that gave his flesh the consistency of metal has also robbed him of fluidity, yet he manages with awkward lumbering to clear the flames. Almost. And yeah, I liked that. I mean, yeah, anytime that we're reminded that he has a weird magical embalming fluid instead of blood, even though he is a living mummy, I like that. It reminds me just of the cool things about his origin.
Yeah, and apparently Warner knows that too because he mentions it twice in this script,
Yeah. No, and
which I was happy to see.
me too. I do like how the mummy's depicted on this page. I think he looks great on this. But yeah, Encantu is says Encantu, I was so dazed by the elemental's onslaught I hadn't noticed the flame. So this is Zephyr. Zephyr had been kind of out.
I know.
And she wakes up, and then at the bottom panel, she's like, well, it is the elementals who shall notice now. Zephyr has restrained herself too long. In the end, I too am an elemental, and my power is of equal reckoning. Love it when she talks in the third person, gotta say.
Me too. And I love that that depiction of her. Like it almost looks like some like Greek mask of Medusa or something like
Yeah.
that. Like it looks fucking badass.
I love it when she's scary.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
On the previous page, we missed a house ad for War is Hell, by the way. Did you see
Oh,
that?
no.
They even called out Kowalski by name. I thought that was pretty cool.
Damn right.
All right. So yeah, I was a fan of this page as well. I thought this was cool action. It was cool seeing the mummy do stuff, and it was interesting that Warner, because it wasn't always clear before with Tony, like how fluid his movement was, and here you're very keyed in the fact that he is jerky, herky-jerky, and
Yeah.
and weird, which would make more sense if he'd been embalmed and basically had his flesh turned to steel and his insides still living and all that weirdness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we move on, and there's more elemental nonsense. So she is using her wind powers, and she says, "Stand your ground, kind Encantu. These flames will never touch your time weather bandages." And she's blowing the flames away. And meanwhile, these jackasses are falling, and I just like the idea of that guy landing on his head. Blast at someone, do something. And I like that he's breaking the panel there with his head, although
I
it looks
liked
like he's
that.
from a Welcome Back Kotter comic book or something like that, but that's for another whatever. And then here's a familiar trick. Magnus uses his elemental powers of earth and fashions some big hands to come up and catch them before they hit the ground. And I did have to fault Warner here. I'm not a huge pun guy. It says one might, in fact, be tempted to say that he has matters well in hand.
Not great.
A little bit of a groan there from me.
Oof, that's a groaner.
And then for the end of the page, we cut back to that alleyway in Cairo that we saw last issue of this book. And it says, except the elementals are not noted for having a sense of humor. I guess apparently not me either. A fact amply demonstrated by the countless elemental sympathizers who have Ron McAllister, Old Dan, and the Asp boxed into a certain alley. And so they're fighting for their lives. And again, like we've seen in so many issues, it's just a numbers game, and they are overwhelmed, and they get beat. Thack and Wook.
Yeah, Ron gets a club to the cabeza there. Not great.
This guy's been having a bad week.
He has. Yeah, he's a lover, not a fighter. He was not meant for this.
No, he's a student.
He is a student. Yeah, I liked the hand. It was funny, that middle panel. I really liked the hands, but then yeah, after that, I just was like, that stupid pun really made it dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, okay, we'll go on to the next page. Like you say, we have cut to another scene, and the elemental sympathizers are about to move in for the kill. Like Warner describes them as ready, if forced to serve the elementals out of fear. The very self-same fear now kindles a zeal, a fanatical joy in knowing that the will be done. And so, yeah, they're advancing on our team, and then we cut back again. Yeah, I don't know. I felt these cuts were clumsy.
Yeah, I was also at this point. This is tied with Serving Wench. These are people who are protecting their families, but now they're kind of getting into the violence thing. That's getting a little old for me at this point.
Yeah, it's getting old. And Matt, we're not gonna find out a full story about the surfing wench thing.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Chris Claremont does bring Miles and Richard and Zephyr into Ms. Marvel 11 and 12,
Oh,
along
that's
with the
right.
Elementals. So there is an opportunity.
Okay.
And I don't know if I have the stomach to read two full issues, but I thought maybe you and I could do something where we're just kind of flipping through them together on screen, like something for the Patreon folks or something like that. Just kind of like skim through them. Don't even take notes. Just kind of flip through them. Just kind of talk like
Yeah.
about the thing. Just make it a little bonus thing to kind of close this loop, because I don't think she appears much more beyond those two issues.
I don't think so either. So yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, we cut back to the elementals who are, yeah, just again, I don't know. Yeah, he's saying, how far as like desist woman, I could as easily superheat all the air in the city. What use of your powers of air be then, eh? So yeah, their English is even worse this time. Just the way they speak is even worse. Like it's more insufferable. They've become the most insufferable versions of themselves this issue.
Yes. And, if you want to play this game, Mr. Warner, you could also say that Zephyr could remove all the oxygen and there could be no fire. I mean, this is like nuclear war here. There's
Yeah.
zero sum kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dumb. But yeah, Dr. Scarab, though, he's afraid after the way the last bolts from the Scarab went wild. And so, like he says, my mind can't get past that block. And yeah, we realize just how much is controlled. Well, we realize later on that, only through, pure emptying of his mind can he control that, which I did like. But yeah, Hellfire is just, I don't know. All their sentences just became really, like reading them out loud was really dumb. Well, my bandaged warrior king, you are angry, are you?
Yeah.
Fool, how easily I might destroy you in a single heartbeat, but no, not you nor any of yours will die easily this day. I mean, they're all read in the voice of the mighty monarch.
Yes, definitely. And that last panel there, he looks very much like some manga or anime kind of villain. And this is one of the ones where I was mentioning where it's like, is he trying to do a Val impression on some of these faces? It almost seems like it. But yeah, not succeeding in my opinion. Well, I do like that panel on the left there, though. The perspective behind the mummy. I think that was kind of cool. But
honestly, I don't think I can complain about really any panel that has Encanto in it. I think they all look pretty good. Even the ones that don't look good, you take your eye to any other panel and it's worse.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah.
what a wonderful philosophy you have.
Yeah.
Glenn's wondering if there's a centerfold. There is indeed. There's actually going to be a pretty big swig from me on the. We've had some Blacklight poster blue balls this season, and I think we really just blew them out here. They saved them up all season long for this spread that's coming up. All right. So moving on, we got a nice little action page here that I was actually pretty impressed with. Magnus has summoned up all of these earthen creatures that are so cool. I mean, they look like Ray Harryhausen stop motion things, and like they have horns. Like one's maybe a minotaur, or they're like demonic kind of looking, just because he can and he wants to.
Yeah.
Up from the ground, which is as a sculptor stone to Magnum, they come grim earthen rock monsters, an army of them, all to destroy one man. And I love that he is, levitating while summoning these things, and then Encanto's just kind of there, standing back, just kind of taken aback by them, just springing up out of the ground. Nice panel.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this 3-panel sequence here where he's just punching the shit out of them. And it says, unfortunately, Magnum has failed to realize that his victim is not entirely human. And then we get another thing here that I like being called out. He's a man 3,000 years old, a man who, during the passing of that time, found his flesh transformed to the consistency of steel, and what has such he to fear from mere stone. As he's just making short work of these things, and like that thing in the middle panel almost looks like a Mignola demon or something like that. Like when Mignola's being really fast and loose, Love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, you're right. That top panel is so great. I don't know. I did like the art on this.
Me
I thought
too.
this was a pretty cool page, all in all. And yeah, that middle panel of that demon, I have also thought Mignola all the way on that. So steel, he's never been called like he was made of steel before. What do you think of that?
It's usually stone, right?
It's stone. And remember, like when he's hit with machine gun fire or something, like there is little like dust that kind of comes out. Like he's not Colossus.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the consistency of steel. I think that's the
Consistency
key.
of steel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That makes a little more sense.
But yeah, I mean, I did note that that was different. The first time it had been described that way, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I could watch him just tear monsters apart all day, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. See, I took that top panel of him looking at all these kind of just nonchalant, just being like, yeah, you've done this before. Remember? Remember when we were on the weird moon? Like, yeah, we've been here.
I kind of took it to be like, I guess not like taken aback, but just kind of like, like when you're in a rap battle and like you're like, okay, now it's their turn.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, yeah, next page. Scarab's mind is finally clear, and he shoots a bolt at Hellfire. But Hydron is there to suck all the moisture out of the ground under Scarab, tossing him off balance. I couldn't decide whether that was kind of cool or the stupidest use of his power of all time.
I thought it was idiotic. Like,
It's
you're in
pretty
the desert.
idiotic.
You're in the
Yeah.
desert. There's not much moisture to draw out anyway, and that makes you falter. And it looks like ice. Like I literally saw them like, oh, he made ice under him and he slips. And I read it like, what?
Yeah,
Why
and
not
also,
why not put water in there and make it quicksand? Like anything except removing moisture from arid desert.
yeah, no, super stupid. And it's already been, I mean, I know he can't do it for sense of story and stuff, but it's already been established that Hydron can just desiccate you. Just take every drop of moisture out of your body and you die horribly. So, yeah, I don't know. But he does fall. Well,
Why? Yeah, now that you pointed that out,
yeah,
he
I
could
know.
literally just instantly kill anybody at any
He
point
could
in
just kill
time.
everyone there and just be like, "Oh, that's done. Now we have the Scarab. The end."
Oh my god.
Yeah, fucking
Oh,
stupid.
boy.
But yeah. So yeah, Hydron ends up grabbing the Scarab, and then yeah, the Elementals decide to gloat. They're like, "You fool! The entire Earth belongs to the Elementals. So get you gone, human vermin. We have no further use for you." Okay, we've run into this with writers that we like before, to where, man, their narration is great and their dialogue not so great.
Yeah, this stinks.
Yeah, especially the middle of this issue. I feel like Warner's dialogue really just takes a detour to the toilet. It's pretty bad. They say, "As for you, Zephyr, you will you will see as soon as I find enough time to think of you." And then I did like that. I mean, even though I think his face looks good in the no panel, but then what is up with his face on the right there? Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. He's like, "You're wrong. You'll never touch the earth. Not as long as I'm alive." And then that bottom, I do like, because, he does a Professor X kind of thing. And it's just like, "You'll never take the earth. Never." And then in the narration, in the next blinding moment, Cairo disappears, leaving only the city's inhabitants standing awestruck in the most of arid, all too empty desert. So again, a little confusing narration at the end there, but I did like the panel of the people.
I like the people.
Mhm.
I had to read this twice to figure out what Sutton was showing us,
Yeah.
which is the occupants of the city remaining where they are, but the city itself leaving. And that's an interesting way to depict that. And I don't know how effective it is. I really like the left part of the panel, like you're saying, the psychic scream or whatever that is. But man, I don't know.
No, I was the same way. I still didn't. I mean, I really don't think I fully understood it until you just said it there. Because I'm just like, I don't get it. What does that even fucking mean? And yeah, Glenn, you're absolutely right. The elementals could have totally won if they just went ahead and used their powers and stopped their stupid monologuing.
Well, that's the story as old as time for villains, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right, is this the big nutting?
This is
Yes.
it. The big
All right.
nutting.
So this is a 2-page spread that I photoshopped together here so you can see the whole thing. We haven't seen something this cool since like Marvel Spotlight Teens, like the Gerber
Yeah.
psychedelic Odyssey type of stuff. And I mean, I can't get enough of this. Like that, those rings that go around, and there's just a creepy eye opening up on one of the rings.
The eye was so cool. Yeah.
So yeah, so Cairo has disappeared and then some, and we see it appearing in this spot. And this was interesting. It says it is called, if such a thing can be explained with mere words, a dimensional aleph. And if an aleph is a point in space that contains all other points, then this is the crossroads, the very nexus of all dimensions. So I had to look up and make sure it's like, wait, that man thing? Like, no, that's the nexus of all realities. So these are different aspects of existence. But this is the place where every point of space coincides and exists at the same time, at the same juncture. Cool stuff. You know, I love that kind of like philosophy or whatever, that kind of quantum physics type of thing, whatever, where it's like, it makes you feel like you're leaning back in your chair and then you're just about to fall. That's what thinking about stuff like this makes me feel like, just permanently.
Yeah, it's what I don't know. I think it's called like a quantum superposition or something, when everything is just kind of folded in on itself. I think I'm just going to say it to sound like a smarty pants. You know, it's probably not right.
I feel like it's like if there's like a graph that has like everything that could be every point of existence, every place, like they all have a center, a grounding anchor point, and this is like where they all meet, regardless of where they are in the universe.
I love that. Yeah,
they're one common point.
No, that's a great way of describing it. And
so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, are we drinking for this yet? Are we drinking for the blacklight poster to end all blacklight posters?
Yeah, man, I would have bought this. No joke.
Cheers to you, Sutton, for this page and this one page.
And I suspect that maybe some of the weaker panels and pages in the rest of this issue were because he was very entertained by drawing this.
You're probably right, honestly.
And I almost don't begrudge him. I mean, there's a few faces where I'm like, ooh, that's weird, but like it's like, ooh, I like this.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like, you know, Sutton took some LSD, like went on a journey, then, you know, went to his drawing board and did this. And then he's just like, fuck, that took 4 days. I've been up for 4 days. and then he's like, ah, shit. And that's why all the faces look bad.
So, so yes, through Scarab's explosive use of the power that he's been granted, Cairo was lifted up. Its inhabitants remain where they were, and it's been set here in the nexus of all dimensions.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Center. Yeah, it's a pretty cool concept, man.
No, it is. Yeah, absolutely. And we know Warner can do this stuff. We read Son of Satan. Like, yeah, it's badass.
Yeah, this reminded me of that. Did Warner write that last Son of Satan story that was that weird philosophical, like it was Christmas Eve, and that's like Satan's least favorite day?
I think so. I don't know.
Pretty sure he wrote that. That this kind of felt like that same type of like tapping on that same thing, where like, okay, Warner can be weird. I like weird.
I think you're right. It's just funny, like for the majority of these titles that we've done, or at least like not the majority, but definitely a lot of them, like their last issue is a completely different creative team than the original ones. So yeah, it gets me a little confused. But yeah, so on the next page, both of our parties are reunited as Ron, Old Dan, the Asp. They appear out of nowhere. Yet, you know, aside, like we said, aside from the elementals are also there, everyone else is missing. And yeah, I like that. I like that even the elementals are just like, what the fuck? Like Hellfire's like, we've toyed with your foul lot for the last time, Scarab. I'm not sure what you hope to accomplish transporting us here, but we will destroy you now and be done with it. And then I do like how this whole issue is just kind of an extended tantrum from Scarab. Just him getting angrier and angrier and throwing shit and yelling at shit. And So yeah, he does that again. He's just like that, you lose your patience and put an end to the pesky insects. Blast you. And then yeah, on that next panel, it says again, Dr. Scarab allows his mind to empty and swim inward to meet and merge with that which is the essence of the ruby and its power. But not all is right here, for seemingly long moments pass and nothing happens. So this is an interesting wrinkle here, to where so the scarab stops shining, and as the elementals attack, they realize their powers have evaporated, and their faces are so great slash idiotic. Like I definitely liked Magnum in that final that final panel. Oh, so stupid. But I did like that. Once the elementals get this level of stupid, then I laugh even harder at them, and I kind of like that. So I know his face is dumb, but I liked it.
Yeah, there's some rough stuff for me on here, like his face on the when the scarab is not working. That's rough.
Yeah. Well, it's bad.
And I this first line here from Scarab, I couldn't help but sing it. It felt like a musical. I think it's because Athena is in Mamma Mia, and so
Is everything
she
a
is just
musical
rehearsing.
now?
Yes, so I just saw that. I was like, Lord, what have I done? What has happened to us all? Run, oh, to ask, where did you come from?
Well, now that's all I can hear it.
Yeah, weird, but I did enjoy this, particularly like you said that he almost looks like I don't know, from Akira or something like that. Tetsuo.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on. Sorry, my dog has come to visit me, and she's going to bark once Athena walks in the door.
That's
Oh,
okay.
and someone pointed out to us that that was Mantlo that wrote that final issue.
Yeah, Jackson pointed that out. Yeah. Thanks for reminding us.
Yes, I appreciate that. Okay. So silence resumes, and frustration and bewilderment radiates out as one and all look at each other for explanations. So no one's powers are working. The three elementals glare hatefully but say nothing. Awkward moments pass. And I love just like mentally drawing this moment out like extra awkward. Just like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
As Scarab is in the foreground saying, Encanto saying, the Scarab is powerless and so are the elementals. I think I understand. He does a lot of detective work here. He's almost like the Columbo of this. I was thinking, like, it's like he's like Columbo. It's like my wife's a big fan of your elemental powers. One more question.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's figured this all out in a single moment of panic. Scarab drew out all the energies of the ruby, and somehow he puts together. Not only are they expired from there, but they're just in the air now. They're just permeating everything. And so that means any one of us can use them. And I mean, god dang, he's smart. So Encanto acts, he lets his ages wearied mind relax and move outward. He feels energies throb, followed by a burst of brilliant red from his hand. I love the art on those two panels there. Hellfire reacts. He doesn't really understand how the living mummy attacked him in the first place, but he begins to suspect. So now it's just all out wizard war. Everyone is essentially elemental powered, and even the asp is like, the power, we can all use it. And he looks like it's like a cartoon of this drawn by Deke.
Yeah, again, like that last panel, I was just like, who is that again? When did Prince Adam come to the fore? I was just like, I didn't understand what the fuck that was. Yeah, so weird.
Yeah, Jackson, I was too. I was glad that like the mummy got centered back into this again, because he was drifting a little bit out of the locus of the focus of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. On the next page. Yeah. Like you said, suddenly like everyone is elementaling at this point. The asp says, it's 1-on-1 now. We're all on equal turns. Take them. And so everyone is drawing power out of the air. Yeah, to just fight each other, which at first I was just like, cool. And I was like, kind of stupid too. Yeah. But yeah, so they're just, again, it's so much elemental monologuing that I just can't read it. But I did and I did like that. So they're monologuing. We are a power incarnate, and are just phazamming. everyone. And but then yeah, at that bottom panel, Encantu speaks and says, "Yes, boisterous ones, we indeed challenge you. Too long in this war I have remained silent, for such is my way. But now I see what you do not, and I can act, and know victory is ours." So he's, and as he's saying this, he's basically doing what Dr. Scarab says. He's just like, yes, my mind link. I think I know what Encantu is thinking of. Janice, Ron, all of you, listen. So yeah, not only are they just drawing the Scarab's power from the air, now they have like some kind of mind link together. So they're pulling a lot of things out of the air, story wise.
So, Scarab and Encantu had that before a couple issues ago.
Yes. No. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but my first thought was, wow, who put a Neko in Encantu? Is this the most he's ever said this entire? I mean, he's thought, but is this the most he's spoken?
Probably. Yeah. No, you're right.
Because his throat's all parched and dry from 3,000 years of screaming. Zephyr looks cool.
Yeah, Zephyr looks very cool. Glenn, thank you. Says, cool, kind of stupid too. That should be a Bronze Age Monsters bumper sticker.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I'm going to drink to that as well.
Oh, Zephyr. Okay, so on the next page, we get here a little bit of a hangover from the hippie love, summer love.
Yep.
Quickly, Alexei Scarab explains Ron, the Asp, Old Dan, and Janice form a circle, concentrating their mutual mental energies. So they, through the power of Coca-Cola, all find out how to make the world a peaceful place. While I do like the aspect of the mummy on the side here, like with Aquaman, like psychic stuff coming out as he's conveying this to Scarab, I guess. Yeah. And so, we get some good stuff here. And I love this weird panel on the left, channeling them through the mummy, Zephyr, and Dr. Scarab. So they're essentially like mediums for this power. And they're just like, I love that Scarab just like he's going, like he's just on PCP. And the results are impressive, to say the least. Wow. The elementals go flying. And over the long days since this bitter war began, these 7 people have formed a bond. Again, this is coming up. One that is at once symbiotic and empathic, as they scream no when they're being blasted back by this power. 2 elements which the other 3 elementals have little grasp of. Elements stronger than any defense the elementals may summon. Minor quibble, empathy and symbiosis are not elements. So,
but they're saying
say that, but it doesn't make it so.
Yeah, but they're saying that love is the real element here.
Oh,
it's love, okay. Matt.
I think maybe I'm just a little jaded because we just did that bonus episode for the Resurrection of Papa Jumbo, where we saw a really well-written version of this kind of happening, where someone's power being used for good and love, multiplying it and making it more exponentially stronger.
Oh, you're right.
So I was just kind of like, It was done a lot better by Mensch.
Yeah, definitely was. So, okay, I did kind of like this page, because anytime that we get to see the Aleph, and which we do again, which is amazing, but I loved this because it shows the elementals, being cast out of heaven, which, I did like. Says that they are flung across the dimensions themselves until at last, screaming and helpless, they are drawn into the very vortex of the Aleph. And like broken flotsam in the current of some great river, they are drawn deeper and deeper through the countless dimensions. Sights burn their eyes, blacken their brains. Their very flesh seems to explode and their souls blasted. They have, without redemption, perished, these 3. So, even though they come back, yeah, would that it were so. They do come back, sadly enough. But I don't know if I liked this page particularly because it was just about the elementals having their asses handed to them. But I don't know. I think it's pretty cool art.
I like the art.
Yeah, it's good.
Like the layout, the design, and I love that language talking about their suffering and how they're just being seared by the cosmos, whatever, as they're flying through. I love it. I mean, I just wish it stuck.
I know, me too. I almost think that Warner knows it too. He's just like, everyone hates these fuckers. Let's give them a real send off.
Yeah, I would prefer that their limbs be tied to 4 wild horses and then
Yeah.
the horses be swatted on the ass, but we're not going to get that here. So
No.
this is a good second place, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we get another big panel here. And this is pretty cool. It's just showing that Cairo has left the Aleph and has returned back to the Earth and has settled back into its spot. Pretty cool. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I could look at this cosmic stuff all day. I mean, I'm just kind of jaded here. You know?
No, it's cool. This is a great page. I mean, look at the bottom of that page. It's
I was just gonna
gorgeous.
say, my favorite part is the cast of characters ringed there with and almost entirely in silhouette, just the kind of highlights of the sun. It's cool.
Awesome. It's a great piece of art. But yeah, so okay, we've reached the final page of Encanto, the Living Mummy, and it is epilogue. So we see that Dr. Alexei Scarab smiles when his eyes tired, dim but satisfied. The ruby is powerless now. It was drained by our battle. Thankfully, I should think we'll not have the occasion to use it again. And then he, puts it and clicks the lid of a cool ornate box. And then, like no character in a story should ever say, all of which seems to put a neat cap on everything. and then Encanto, of course, got to read Encanto's last thoughts. He says, perhaps. What happens now? I've freed 2 sets of people, and I feel as if my destiny has been fulfilled. For what place is there in this world for a 3,000-year-old mummy? And yet, what if these are but small trials? And then they have their, that's it. That's a wrap on Encanto right there. And so then they all the characters have their goodbyes. Goodbye, Doc. Old Dan and I have invited Zephyr to join us, and she's accepted. They're a gang now.
Yeah.
They're a new gang. And the Asp says, I keep getting tempted to say it was fun, but I guess you know what I mean. Too bad about that scarab being powerless, though. And then our final 3 panels says, it is quiet now as these newfound friends say their farewells. Someday, perhaps, they shall see each other anew, but the world will have changed then. But then again, Scarab opens the box, says, the ruby, it's gone. Asp.
Totally.
And then we get the goofiest fucking panel at the end of the Asp, Old Dan, and Zephyr just like running out as fast as they can, holding the ruby scarab, which is glowing again. There is that.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. Final narration reads, but the Asp, along with Old Dan and Zephyr, have long since fled. The Asp and Old Dan had a dream they were chasing, a dream that had been waylaid by the elementals, but for now and possibly forever, they are back to chasing that elusive dream. And what the hey, it's a living, right? Finn. And then for this final panel, it's like them kind of like freeze frame, yeah, as they're running away. I described it as very A-team and very stupid.
Yeah, but like this would be like that 70s, that shitty quality of freeze frame where it's kind of blurry, and then like some really like bad like sub John Denver like folk song would start playing. It's like totally inappropriate for like the vibe. That's like how the 70s would do it.
Yeah, that is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, man, I felt lots of feelings here.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out that Richard went all Elf Quest. Totally. I thought my note just said Richard Harper as evil elf. He looks very strange there. And, I just thought it was, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much they knew about the future of this book at this point, but I get the feeling that they were kind of rushing through this. Like somebody said, okay, guys, this is the last issue of this. So whatever, I don't know, man.
No, I felt like this epilogue page was tacked on. I almost feel like this was done after the fact and that they pulled the last page of the issue and replaced it with this.
Well, if they did, I just felt like they kind of did Encanto dirty here because like you and I were joking before we started recording here, like It's just literally the last time we see him in his own book is him looking out the window all mournful, like,
Yeah.
bye. Send us a postcard, or like let us know if you need to be bailed out of prison or something.
Yeah. No,
And then
it's
when he the Super Nintendo Chalmers thing.
yeah.
Skinner. That was hilarious. I did laugh on the
Yeah.
last.
Oh, I laughed
row.
at that, but then the last panel I was like, ugh, fucking stupid. Yeah.
Oh man. So I don't claim to know Zephyr better than Warner or Tony Isabella, but I don't think she would pair up with these guys.
See, I feel like you were a student of Zephyr and actually know her better than anyone. And so I agree with you. She would not. She's above this. She's not going to be, the wheelman in a heist game. It's fucking stupid. So now, and I love that their dream, in the text piece we read that Aspinall Dam, they wanted to like be somebody, right? They wanted to, but now, they can't because they're small time criminals. And so now they're just going to go and steal diamonds and shit.
I think that was the being somebody they wanted to be. I think
It
they wanted to
is.
just have bigger scale heists. Which Zephyr, I mean, and honestly, like, I just kept picturing like, a confidence stuff where it's just kind of like, like they'd be talking to some rich guy about some investing in something, some kind of long con thing, and then they'd be like, "Oh, do you want to meet our partner?" And then she'd come in that steel bikini and like, they'd just be like, and then they just like reach their hands in their pockets and take out gold watches. And stuff. All right, well, bye.
See, I wanted to imagine that they were still doing their idiotic plan where they'd steal it, and then like 15 minutes later, they'd knock on Dr. Scarab's door again and be like, "I got something to sell you." Like, have you ever heard of the Scarlet Scarab? Yeah.
And why did Scarab check for the Ruby Scarab?
That's a weird thing too.
10 seconds ago.
He did. He put it in there, and then he's like, "Well, that puts a cap on everything." Like once you say that, you're not going to go back and look in the box that you just closed. But yeah,
maybe
still funny.
Guy Pearce and Memento or something.
Yeah, it's like, what did I
Time to put the
here?
Scarab away.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there we
Glenn
go.
says Encanto did kind of stop being the star of his own book, which is why Brother Voodoo is better.
Not gonna argue with that.
Yeah, when we were building this season a little bit, I did look at this run here, just the covers, maybe the splash pages, to see who the creators were, not spoil anything for myself, and just was kind of like, wow, these Elemental guys really hang out in this run. I hope that they're better than they look.
They were
and
not.
So in my mind, Encanto's cool story, Encanto from Central Park Bench to here, was just kind of a fading away of coolness. Zephyr coming in was cool. The Miles Oldan, I guess we're kind of doing final thoughts here. Sorry.
Sure.
The Miles Oldan story with the Asp and stuff like that, that text piece, like there was some really strong highlights for me in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I felt like the last two issues, where Warner came on and was batting cleanup essentially, were a little disappointing, but I think the writing was on the wall. And I think that maybe he was kind of told to essentially wrap up wherever this was. I feel like all the pieces were here for a really, really good sustained run. Maybe not as long as, a Brother Voodoo, if it had been given its fair dues, but I don't know. It felt like it kind of faltered, and it just kind of never really got its stride going right to sustain itself, regardless of sales.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. I wish I could have asked Roy a few more follow-up questions about the Living Mummy, but it seems like bringing the elementals in, to me, seems like an editorial thing, to where you're like, they're finally reading through these issues, and they're like, wait, he's just depressed and walks around a city? Like, this ain't no Marvel comic. Like,
yeah,
bring in something for them to fight. And yeah, you're right. That's what we love. That's what we loved about the character. And when Val and Tony, took over from Gerber, which of course we loved Gerber, but for those first issue or two before the Elementals show up, it was cool. It was a book we loved. We were talking about how much we loved The Living Mummy. We didn't think we were gonna like it, but we loved Encanto's history. We loved the way that his origin story was. We, we really loved this, and I feel that the longer we kept with the Elementals, the less we liked it.
Yeah. Glenn pointed out, like you just were saying, that all the flashbacks, whenever we saw Nkantu as a man pre-slavery, were always highlights for me, favorite parts. Um, those stood out as highlights of the whole run for me, actually, which kind of surprised me at the time.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, Jackson, I know that Tony did definitely bring in the elementals, but remember, and before that, we were just like, Tony Isabella, man, way to go. We were just like, this is, we felt like we had egg on our face a little bit with Tony Isabella. And, I do feel like he did pretty good. Elementals aside, I feel like Tony did a really good job on this book.
I do. Definitely. Yeah. This was the one that turned my head around on my opinion on him for the most part. So, yeah, I feel like that they should have been a 3 or 4 issue character arc, and then he could have moved on to something. I think he should have stayed in the cosmos. I think he should have been like Man-Thing or something like that. Like, yeah, he is a magnet or a hub for weird stories or weird cosmic things or sorcerers or something. Kind of keep it kind of sword and sandally, but grounded in the Marvel U, to where he could encounter other, like Damon Hellstrom or somebody, Brother Voodoo or something like that. But keep it kind of on the fringes and a little weird. Mm-hmm. That would have been amazing. But
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? So,
would you like to hear the bad news as shared with the fans at the end of this issue?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Oops. Hold on here. Where you got? Okay. So we got. This was in the letters column referring to someone's fan mail. It says, a hearty thanks to all of you for your comments on the Living Mummy series. As your letters indicate, the vast majority of Marveldom assembled has nothing but pans of praise for the Way Out Embalmed African.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's letters like yours that make it all the more difficult to announce that, as of this issue, the Living Mummy series is being discontinued. That old harbinger of doom, poor sales, has descended upon us. And this time, Nkantu of the Swirl, they spelled it wrong, Swirlies, is the casualty. Swirlies. Believe us when we say we are as saddened by his passage as you are. For those of you who are pondering the final fate of the Living Mummy, keep an eye on a certain green-skinned Goliath smag in the future, because lively Len Wein himself has promised to tie up the loose ends in the Living Mummy saga. But the news isn't all bad this month. Venturous Val Mayrick is still around, devoting his time and talents to our action-packed black and white line, while John David Warner, in addition to lending his editorial duties to those self-same mags, will be picking up Marvel Spotlight featuring the Son of Satan. We haven't left Marvelites. We've merely relocated.
Okay.
So, yeah, poor sales. Who knew?
Well, it's the real villain of all these books that we've been talking about.
It's the hellfire of all these books.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that we did a service to this run, right? This season.
Let's drink to that. To Nkantu, the Living Mummy.
And folks, if you haven't had a chance to look at our schedule or anything like that, this was not true. He did not turn up in the Hulk. So the next time that we see him, that will be for our special friends who are our Patreon supporters. They will see us do a Power Record style read through of Marvel 2-in-1. Didn't you want to see what Ben Grimm and Nkantu have in common? Me too.
Oh boy.
They were both hassled by pharaohs.
Yeah, they were.
Isn't Ben Grimm Jewish?
He is.
So they're bonding right there.
Yep.
We have a little something to talk about real fast. We just wanted to point out something cool that's a campaign on Kickstarter. That's a neat comic that somebody sent to us and said, hey, if you guys want to read this, I'm working on volume 3 of it. And if you read it and like it, I'd appreciate you letting people know about it. And we read it, and I think we both liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was really exciting. I'm glad that we're going to promote it.
Cool. So we're talking about Lycan Solomon's Odyssey. And what is the Kickstarter that's happening right now is, as you can see here, it's a little bit shy of its goal. Its goal was $10,000, and it's just probably about $8,000 now. Last time I checked. So yeah, this is a book about the first werewolf. And I know Jacob loves like Sumerian and like ancient stuff just as much as I do. So for me, this is a peanut butter and chocolate thing of like monsters and ancient cultures of like the Middle East coming together. It is set in 8000 BCE, and the main character is Solomon. And I read the first volume. Jacob read the first two. We're not going to spoil anything here, but you can support this at any different tier you want, and you can get just the new one, or you can get all three. You can get them in PDF form or physical copies. But I was really impressed with this, and I just want to show you guys some of the art here. This is just the first few pages, the cover and the first few pages of the first issue, so no spoilers at all. But Jacob, what'd you think? Like, of just in general, first reaction to the first volume?
I instantly loved it. I mean, aside from just the cool fact that, not a ton of people have thought to do is just be like, who was the first werewolf? Like, and so this is like yeah, it's really cool. So like you say, this is 10,000 years ago, and the way that this man Solomon becomes a werewolf is pretty interesting and unique. But there are a lot of parallels with Jack Russell, I found.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool is that he's kind of figuring out like, okay, like I changed like at the same time. What the heck? I don't think this is spoiling anything, but he has like a stick that he's making like lines on. He's like, okay, this is what happened. And then he figures out, he's just like, oh, it's the moon, like every time. And then once he learns it's the moon, then he takes a lot of steps like Jack Russell does. And so the more I read it, I was like, oh, fucking cool. Because it had parallels right back to Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of the art. Like, just a really sweet spot for modern artists for me.
Yeah, it's great.
Really impressed with the coloring and the art. So yeah, we're not going to belabor this. We're not here to sell it. We're not getting reimbursed for this or anything like that. The guy just said, hey, read it, and if you like it, please let people know. And we wanted to. We're gonna back the third book. We already have the first two volumes, so I'm happy to back the third one. I'm excited to see what goes on.
Yeah, if you're even you're remotely interested in what we were just saying about it, and you're a listener to the show, so I know you're probably more than remotely interested. Yeah, if you liked Werewolf by Night, I think there's a lot of parallels, and the modern art is great. The writing's great. I really really loved it. So I'm happy with that Matt, that you and I, that the show are gonna back the third volume.
Yeah, so please check it out. That is Lycan, Solomon's Odyssey. Okay, so one thing I want to mention here is that we have a new thing out that Jacob and I did, which is we went to Tales of the Zombie number 10, and we went through the story of Resurrection of Papa Jumbo. This is by Doug Mensch and Tony DeZuniga. And we went through this. It's not like the Power Records type of thing stories where we're just kind of plowing through them and laughing, and it's a little bit looser. This is more of a, like, we did the proper review of the issue, but we also incorporated the art through the whole thing. So it's a new thing, and we might do more of it. We'd like to hear your feedback. It's available for the top two tiers of our Patreon supporters. You can go to our Patreon page and back us there and check that out, in addition to lots of other stuff we do. So let's maybe talk a little bit about what that is. So we have several tiers of support that people can do. There's lower ones. The lower ones do not have access to this special stuff that we make just for the top two tiers, though. So the top two tiers include the most popular one, which is Pack Member. That's $5 a month. Those folks get the weekly bonus show in audio and video format, and special gated content, much like this, that the previously mentioned tiers do not get. That also includes things like the Roy Thomas interview that we got. Those folks get first cracked at that. They also get shout-out credits in the bonus show and verbal shout-outs in the main show. And that's what this is. So that includes fine folks like Tim Tucker,
Brian from Marvel by the Month,
Blake, last name withheld,
Caleb,
David Goodwin,
Ben M,
Michelle from Moonlit Comics,
Letty,
Johnny Turner,
Justin the Owl,
Russ from Taste the Pot of Dracula,
Brad Elmore,
Jason Finestone. Jason, I think you were here tonight.
Worm Drive Pro,
Jared C,
Brink,
David D,
Glenn Lash,
thanks for joining us, Glenn, Rob from Marvel by the Month,
Dave Kennedy,
Benjamin Potter,
Steve Lacey,
Brian Steed,
Tony Iupi,
and new member Pat Svek. Thanks for joining us tonight, Pat.
Yeah, good to see you, Pat. Okay, but yeah, let's talk about the final tier. That's for the Star Gods. These celestial barbarian deities get even more content exclusive to that tier and a thank you gift from our Threadless shop after 6 months of membership. That's right, Star Gods to get to pick out a coffee mug, travel cup, or t-shirt from the show's shop, and we'll send it right to their mailbox. Even the new Star God t-shirt that Matt designed that looks so good. I would recommend getting that.
Me too.
So the hallowed ranks of Star Gods include fine folks like Landon,
and Jesse McFerrin,
MJ,
Ryan from Across the Bifrost, a Mighty Thor podcast,
John Walsh,
Michael Giacchino,
Melissa Watts,
Josh Link,
Mark Nivens,
Eric Hadley,
Catherine Neff,
and Jackson T. Overstreet. Good to see you here tonight, Jackson.
Always a pleasure, Jackson.
Yes, thanks for supporting the show. And again, I really hope that you folks that are at those tiers check out this special we did. I put some extra work into it and love, and I'm kind of considering it. I haven't talked to Jacob about this yet, but I'm kind of considering a pilot. We might go this direction. We don't know.
I'm very curious. I watched it last night and I loved it, and I'm very curious. So Star Gods and pack members, I would love some feedback. It's been a little quiet, so I'd love some feedback on what you think about the Tales of the Zombie 10, the new direction that Matt's kind of taking us in, and the Roy Thomas interview. I'd love to hear what you thought about that too. So don't be shy.
Yeah. I was thinking that we have season 7 planned out, and it is not stuff that is readily available. And we're even kind of a little worried about maybe getting our hands slapped for handing out PDFs like we have this season. And so this might be a good kind of middle ground where it's fair use because we're transforming it and commenting on it. So this could be the way we go. So we'd love to hear if that's something you guys would like to see for a future season or something like that. So yeah, please check it out and let me know. Okay. You guys all know about the voicemail. That's 971-220-5865. We love to hear from you guys. We also love to get mail from you at bronzeagemonsters@gmail. Thanks again to Matt. Is it Matt Harvey? Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. For that lovely letter. That, again, really cheered me up. So appreciate that. We're on the socials, as you know, Instagram, Bluesky, and Threads. You can find us there just by searching Bronze Age Monsters. You know what's up. We're holding off a little bit. Because we always go chronologically. I'm ready for Scarecrow. Unfortunately, Marvel Chillers #2 came out first. So we're going to go back to the well, the Modred the Mystic well. And I'm going to keep positive attitude. And
yep.
This was written by Bill Mantlo again, but we have a new artist. This time it's Sonny Trinidad, who I believe we saw do something in one of our werewolf seasons.
Yeah, I think he did some from Giant Size. I think he did some Giant Size stories. Sonny Trinidad is an incredible artist, so I'm actually excited about that.
Yes. And much like the last issue that had that strange splash page that was by John Romita Sr. and Ed Hannigan and Frank Giacoia, this also has another one of those, but it's John Byrne, which I think is our first John Byrne officially in the show.
Absolutely is, yeah.
So, John Byrne and Frank Giacoia do a splash page again. So that's cool.
Love both of them.
Yeah. And I'm excited too. Now that we've honestly, most of my gripes with Modred the Mystic were just being kind of a slog to get him awake in the 20th century. So now that he's awake and cursed by the Darkhold, I'm excited to see what happens to him actually. So I'm actually being more positive about it than I'm letting on.
I'm trying to. I will get there by recording time. I promise.
Okay. Oh, we missed some of these comments. Have we been showing any of these here? Let's regard some of these.
Okay. So I did. Let's go. I did like Jackson. He said the Marvel 2-in-1 where horror characters get their last gasp.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I feel like that's being on like some shitty variety show in the 70s. Like you were like, I was a vaudeville star and I was I was in films with blah, blah, blah and Clark Gable. Yeah. And now you're just like doing skits with like some fucking wash, like the Brady fucking family or something like that.
Yeah. Or you become like you're like a villain in, I don't know, like HR Puff and stuff or something,
I was going to say Batman, but that's being too kind.
That is being too kind. Yeah. Jackson, you're right. Scarecrow shows up in there. Ugh, it's not good. So Jason about the shout out says that's me. Jason also says, I think talking about the Tales of the Zombie that you edited, Matt, says looks great. Love the editing work.
Thank you, brother. Patrick said he enjoyed both. I'm assuming that's the Roy Thomas interview and the zombie thing. So that's great.
Cool. I'm glad.
Looks like Jason got his Creature Commandos trade in the mail. Perfect.
I'm assuming it was Creature Commandos. Yeah, can't wait.
Because if you guys don't know, that is back in print again, the trade, and it's available for a very reasonable price. So we are not giving any of that away. We don't want to take money out of anybody's pockets, even if it's rich assholes.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to mention. Jackson's very excited about Mordred. That's good. Good. He works better as a villain. Yes, I agree, and that's what he becomes. So, I do kind of like that concept of like this weird like he's marked by the Darkhold, and he is trying to be a good person and be a hero, but he just can't. I always like tragic characters like that. So, I like the idea of him. I just don't think we're going to hang around with him long enough, or he hangs around long enough to see that happen. So
no.
Yeah, Creature Commandos. Yeah. So do we want to? We've never actually spilled the beans on what season 7 is. Should we do that here? Should we say it right now?
Sure.
Crazy.
No, I'm up for that.
Okay. So Jacob can talk a little bit about the origins of this. Is it Martin Goodman?
Yeah. So in Marvel, Martin Goodman kind of lost control of the company, had some bad blood, and started his own comic company called Atlas. Taking the name from the definitely a little dig. So this was an entire comic company created out of spite and venom, and Martin Goodman basically just threw money just at all the greatest like comic artists and writers. You get anyone you could think of. You get Ditko. You get people you could never imagine would go. People that wouldn't work for Marvel again. But they went. Goodman paid them enough, and it's a fascinating story. Larry Lieber, Stan's brother, went to edit.
Stan's little brother away from Marvel.
So this is
Spike Company. It's like Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Spike coffee shop.
It really is. And so it's a fascinating story. So we're going to do all the research we can. Thanks mostly to Roy Thomas and Back Issue and Alter Ego, who have a pretty extensive coverage of it. But yeah, so we're going to tell the tale of Atlas Comics. Matt had the good idea that we're going to do an episode on each number 1 issue that they put out, which I think is what, 15?
Yeah, that's no, it's a little bit more.
Wow.
It's more like a 24 or 26, 28. It's going to be a full-size season. But they got Plug, they got like Zek, they got Neil Adams, it's bananas. And like you said, like it's the light that burned twice as bright burns twice as fast, right? He just went and just drained money, doubled people's page rates or whatever their asking fee was for anything, and just tried to stick it to Stan Lee as much as he could. And it just didn't take.
I don't even think it lasted 2 years.
That's barely 2 years.
I think it's barely 2 years.
Most things were 4 issues.
Yeah.
So there's a barbarian stuff. There's a Planet of the Vampires. There's Police Story. That's
crime.
What Luke does. It's a little bit of everything. There is a Bog Beast. Somebody was Ironjaw. Yes,
Ironjaw. Yeah.
Wolf the Barbarian. I'm so excited. I have been waiting to crack. I basically downloaded and made an omnibus of everything, and then I was like, we should do this on the show.
Yeah.
So I haven't even read them yet. I read Ironjaw. And I read a little bit of Wolf the Barbarian, but then I stopped. So I did control myself. And there's some horror stuff. There's something called like Fright.
Mm-hmm. It's everything.
There's a few magazines that we're going to do kind of like a weird like omnibus review and like read one story from it and talk about it. But we'll be sharing all this stuff somehow. But the point is that Atlas Seaboard did do a kind of a relaunch. I think in 2014 or 15, I want to say they brought some of their characters back they still have the rights to, and so they're still active, and I think they're still kind of hunting around looking for people trying to infringe on their shit. So
yeah,
I don't know if we'll get in trouble for what we wanted if we did it the way we did this season. So we might move to the video format. Of course, that would be on YouTube and an audio version somehow for everybody. But that would be the way we could get away with that.
Yeah,
But
we'll have to figure that out. We may have to, I don't know, we may just have to go video that season.
yeah, which
We'll
I would
we'll
have no problem doing. It'd be maybe something kind of like a hybrid like this, or I did try and do a little bit of fun stuff, like cut some gifs in and some gags, and just do some little
it was
cutaways,
good.
just some silly things in there, just to kind of make it fun. So if we did that, we'd probably do the whole season like that, and maybe roll back the bonus shows to being a little bit lighter or something to take the load off of me. But we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you folks are supporters of the show at the pack member or Star God level, please check out the Tales of the Zombie 10 and let us know what you think. Slide whistle.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us this week, everybody. We appreciate you being here live. The folks are just listening to the audio version. We love you too, just as much. All right. Well, join us for Marvel Chillers number 2 next week. Until we meet then, stay bronze, pony boy. Stay bronze. Bye, everybody. Good to see y'all. Bye. Bye. Here I go. Bye.
All I can think of is Doug Marsh at the Tree People concert, laughing, waving like he's fucking 4 years old. Bye, everybody. Glad you like the show. Bye.